The president, since July 2017, has met the members of the media as part of his Meet the Press series on 4 occasions. That's if you count the recent encounter, which happened on Friday, December 13th. Well, his last encounter in December 2018 was described by the Media Foundation for West Africa as one of the worst press encounters ever because of the time that was given to journalists to actually answer questions. Well, this recent encounter, he, in an attempt to actually atone for his sins of the past, allotted about 2 or more hours for this particular encounter. Journalists got a chance to ask him a varied number of questions, and the president himself touched on a number of things that are happening under his administration, particularly him saying, for example, that the kidnapping and killing of the 4 Takoradi girls is his biggest regret for the year 2019. He also touched on the introduction of a tree crop development authority and also a number of issues like his performance with regards to how they handle the financial sector crisis. Well, you're watching the Citi Newsroom, and today we're currently at the ministries where we're trying to get reactions from members of the public on some of the things that he spoke of. But before we do that, let's take a look at highlights of today's Meet the Press encounter.
The encounter began with President Akufo-Addo giving an account of his stewardship in the last 3 years of the NPP administration. He mentioned the free SHS policy, which he says has been a phenomenal success, and the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative. He also took jabs at former President John Mahama for his claims about unprecedented infrastructural development during his tenure.
Many places as you're passing through the town, they point to you. Even when your window is open, you can see them making the gesture. You see how. So you then know that the unprecedented infrastructure development really didn't exist anywhere other than in the Green Book, but it didn't live on the ground.
Then the time for questions from the journalists followed. The president, in his responses, challenged persons making allegations of corruption to provide evidence for investigations.
These accusations against my appointees, there is not one allegation that has been leveled against any of them that has not been investigated. They are not investigated by me. I know there's a big cry in NDC circles that I'm Mr. Clear President. I don't clear anybody. I don't have the power to clear anybody, because I don't have the power to investigate anybody. I'm not an investigating agency. I'm a president. I'm an executive leader of the country. I don't do investigations. Investigations are done by SRAS. They're done by the parliament. They're done by the police. And when they give me a report that they have not found any basis for the allegation, I accept it, because that is the way that our institutions have to work.
On the banking sector crisis, which has resulted in some 3,000 job losses, President Akufo-Addo said the situation would have been worse if government had not intervened.
We had no choice. We had, in fact, delayed in acting, would have been very much more condemned by history as being irresponsible in the face of that crisis than the interventions that we made. It is unfortunate. The banking crisis is unfortunate. The monies that are involved in trying to preserve the savings of 4.5 million Ghanaians, 16 billion cedis. That money could have found better use. Don't let me use the word better use. But I could certainly imagine what it could have done for our roads, for our hospitals, for our schools, instead of it being sunk in trying to shore up the system.
President Akufo-Addo also touched on the current economic situation of the country. Though he admits things are tough, he says the government is doing all it can to mitigate the plight of Ghanaians.
The 9.3 deficit has now been turned into a 4.5 deficit. Like this year's budget has come in the wake of legislation that is capping by law the fiscal deficit of 5%. Fortunately, the management of the economy is in such a way that we're able to meet that statutory figure. Our economy is projected to be one of the fastest growing in the world. And over these last 3 years has been on an average growth of 7%.
All state institutions will from January next year rely on locally produced goods for all government programs and initiatives. The president announced that he has directed state institutions to use Ghana rice and other made-in-Ghana products.
All of us need to get involved in this drive towards self-sufficiency. We should all eat Ghanaian rice as a beginning for all of us. Each one of us in our homes, we make a conscious effort to tell our wives and cousins or whoever it is responsible to buy Ghana rice. That is what is happening in this place. It's happening in my house in Nima, and it is happening here. And I'm giving directions that by the 1st of January this year, all the state institutions are going to have to now live off Ghanaian produce and Ghanaian rice.
On the One District, One Factory program, the president said 58 factories had been completed, while 26 more were under construction.
It's so important for the future of our country. We have to provide the basis for rural industrialization in Ghana. The figures. There are some who are very quick to ask the question, this one factory, one this, we don't see any. Where are they? I have a list here of the 58 ones that are operating, their name, their places where they are specifically. We all provided, information will be provided where they are, what it is that they're doing. I mean, the famous one in the Kumfi you've all heard about. I'm due to go and commission it any second now.
On Imani Africa's recent research, which indicated that the Akufo-Addo government had only delivered 48.5% of its manifesto promises, President Akufo-Addo said he disagreed with the figure.
My attitude to polls has never changed. The only poll that matters is the poll on the 7th of December. That's the only poll that matters. I'm not saying that when people do polling, you then just rubbish it. No, that's not my view. You have to look at it, take it into account, analyze it, and see for yourself what is being said. But we know of situations, there are lots of people did not predict my being here. There were polls that went to say that I couldn't be here. I would never be here. I'm here. You then have to worry. You have to worry yourself about one touch, no touch, whatever. But no, I'm not discouraged. It's important for me. What is important is my program and the work that I'm carrying out, because I believe it is beneficial for the people of Ghana. And then when the time comes for the Ghanaian people to comment on it, I'm optimistic and go forward to say that I'm confident that it will be a good comment that they will make on it on the 7th of December next year. So I'm not discouraged.